Welcome to Near Futurist TV. I am indeed your host, Derek Anthony Williams, aka The Futurist, though today doing a good, well, at least a not bad, I think, David Sylvian impression. I'm sure you know who that is, don't you? Him from that band, Japan. Anyway, a little bit later on, obviously, we'll be having a chat with FeatherTrade, as the sort of thing in the background kind of implies there. That will be in around 15 minutes, I expect. In the meantime, let's play some great music from people that I like. So this has been out a while, but I think it's something really rather spiffy. So let's have a bit of Plasmic with Ghosted You.
Hypnotized.
was Plasmic, and it's 2019. I put on a gig which featured her. Admittedly, she may wish to forget that, as it was a little bit poor attendance. Yes. Let's move on to an act I've liked for quite a few years now. Shadows and Mirrors. I've kind of done a video for it. A bit of saigonbluerain, as they're kind of important. Saigonbluerain, Uknown live, because we're going to see that live on Saturday at the Fulford Arms in York, so I might as well have that on. So saigonbluerain doing it live, Uknown. I like this a lot. Looking forward to seeing them very much.
Hung on my breeze, I think I know. Down on my knees, I'm down on my knees, and I'm hear what I preach and drink what I preach, but you know
FeatherTrade doing a track for Goths for Sanctuaries.
Looked everywhere, but it's been 60 years. Lord have mercy, God forbid, if they find out what you did. Free and the home of the brave, knowing the debts that can never be paid. The land of disease built on bones of the slave can never repair and can never be saved. Lord have mercy, God forbid, if they find out what you did. Lord have mercy, I can't breathe. Does it matter what you believe? Dreams in daylight, black and white. See the nightmare night after night. Wanna take, you can't take it all. The sky's got to fall. If you wanna take, you can't take it all. If you want the sky, then the sky's got to fall. If you wanna take, you can't take it all. If you want the sky, then the sky's got to fall. If you wanna take, you can't take it all. If you want the sky, then the sky's got to fall. The sky's got to fall.
Get rid of that ugly screen there. Right, hello and welcome to FeatherTrade. I know they call you saigonbluerain then, and that would be very bad indeed. They were last
How we
week.
going?
I'm going to try moving you over to the side so I can be much larger again. I don't know, maybe this will work. Lots of faffing about. I was supposed to be organised already. Anyway, so welcome FeatherTrade to Near Futurist TV. I'm playing with you on Saturday in York, so would you like to introduce yourselves and tell everyone just briefly about your FeatherTrade band?
I'm Chisholm Thompson. I'm the vocalist and guitarist.
I'm Natalie Gasaway. I play bass.
I'm João, I play the drums.
and we've all been breathing in loads of dust the last couple of days, building out a new studio. Cough. So we'll be coughing and stuff a lot at the show and in this interview.
So that doesn't sound like it's going to be very promising for the show when you're breathing in loads of dust and then unable to sing. Oh dear. Very regrettable situation. So, I mean, obviously, I think first things first, we need to get out of the way. Are you a goth band? You know, I mean, I think there's only one way to truly determine it, and that will be depending on your answer to the question. I mean, and how vehemently you deny that you are.
Right. I was going to say, you know, as far as I know, no, we're not a goth band. But I know it's a tricky situation because the more you deny it, the more people say you are. Or it's kind of a prerequisite, isn't it, to be a goth band is denying that you're a goth band. But I don't know. I guess we're goth friendly. Goth adjacent.
Every goth band is goth adjacent.
Perpendicular.
I've been told what I get up to is goth adjacent as well, so we're probably all the absolute epitome of goth or something. So what attracts you to? I mean, obviously you do tend to have that sort of darker sound, which is indeed goth friendly. So what is it that attracts you to that?
I don't know if it's something that attracts me to it, like for me, any more than like gravity attracts me to the ground. You know what I mean? It's just sort of what happens, isn't it? It's just you get born and then stuff happens afterwards, and there you are. And I don't think I ever decided, ooh, I love that dark sound, or ooh, I love, you know, this situation that I can't just have a conversation with someone about. So, you know what I mean? It's like, I think what comes out musically is the product of not being able to communicate in some standard way. I always said, like, if I was good at having conversation, I wouldn't have to write songs to put ideas out there. So I think there's certain situations that can't be talked about easily, so they come out the way they do sonically or otherwise. And so I don't know that I couldn't call that an attraction to a sound. It's more like a predisposition, isn't
it's
it?
just
like,
what tends to come out when you start recording, or start writing, rather.
Yeah, I think when I have listened to other bands that have a dark sound, what attracts me to them is relating. I think our emotions tend to have some kind of cinematic quality to them, where we need, or maybe not everybody, but I think some people need a sound and a vision to accompany what they're feeling, be it in their head or otherwise. And if that manifests, or someone manifests that in the world, you kind of go, yeah, that fits, you know. So for other bands, when I hear something, a sound, I'm attracted in that way. But for our own sound, it's not so much attraction as it's just predisposition.
It's just the way it happens to go. So how did you sort of get drawn together, and how does the sort of each other's sort of influences musically tend to inform the overall sound of FeatherTrade, do you think? And do you think it would be different were it not for you all being together?
I don't know.
Right, next question.
Natalie and I met.
We met in art school.
Yeah, through a department, like the art school department head, because I had just sort of written an album, and right before we booked studio time, our bassist left to become an accountant or something like that. And
well, I mean, it's the dream of every rock star, I think, to ultimately become
He's probably living more than a life of excess than I am, but you know, uh,
Yeah.
but I needed a bassist, and the department head was like, "Oh, there's somebody that just graduated. You should look her up." And
Yeah.
and we got in touch, and then started playing together, and then we have gone through a few different drummers, and our most recent drummer during lockdown sort of left music for a while, and we needed to keep pushing forward. And
Have any exploded on stage?
yeah, into a green vapor. So he's come back to music since, and he's playing with another act now. But between that time, we found Joel through
How did y'all specifically connect?
through a guy named Pete Mitchell that I was practicing with. He does some other stuff, kind of old music thing, but some common connection.
Yeah. On my messenger, I was like, "Who's this?"
Yeah. So to you, it probably seemed very random.
Yeah, for me it was random. Like, where this came from?
Chisholm was on a hunt too.
Yeah.
You were like, anyone that has drums in their Facebook.
Anyone that has drummer arms. You know, go to a bar and there's a bartender, and I was like, that guy has drummer arms. I bet he's a drummer. Then they would be. But they're like, I'm not doing music anymore. So, but yeah, it's very random. Like, that we come from like Athens, Georgia, and then we're in Manchester, and then Joel comes from Portugal, and he's in Manchester. So
it's all very strange coincidences that have seemed to come together.
yeah,
I would call it good timing.
yeah. Billions of micro decisions for decades, and then we wind up in the same band. It's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very intriguing how fate seems. And it's sometimes I would say I don't believe in fate, but sometimes it seems fate believes in me in certain circumstances. I would tend to
like
think,
that.
but yeah. So, how's it been then? Sort of just curious to know how it compares, maybe playing the UK versus playing over in the States. Is there any real difference? Have you ever had a Blues Brothers moment where you turn up a bar where they play both styles of music, country and western?
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, in the States, you have that kind of
If
thing.
there's any kind of cliche like that, I feel like we have experienced it in the US. I mean, it's so vast.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to know what you're getting into sometimes.
We played this place one time, and they're like, we'll pay you $500. And we're like, that's pretty sweet. But then we got there, and it was like a residential area. And we pulled into the backyard, and they closed the gates. And when they closed the gates and we looked behind us, there was like, it turns out it was like a neo-Nazi compound. And like, we weren't getting out of there until we played our show. And that was
now
horrible.
that's sounding
Like, that
very
was
Blues
really
Brothers.
scary. Yeah, it was really scary and weird, and you know, it's
But not everyone's like that.
no, not everywhere in the States is
Yeah.
like that. There's some cool places. Like, I don't mean to make it seem as though, you know, playing in the States is horrible. There's a lot of horrible stuff about the States, but most of that is like, you know, socio-political turmoil that spills into everyday life kind of thing. But you know, I do enjoy playing over here more, I think, because there is more of a culture behind live music. You know, even like, for instance, when you guys have economic troubles, the live music industry is one of the last things to be touched by that, whereas in the States, arts and entertainment are the first thing to go
Yeah.
when there's economic troubles. So there just seems to be inherently more of a support network in general. It's just kind of ingrained in the culture. So it does make things seemingly easier in our limited experience, I would say. America is really big, so it costs a lot more to get from place to place. Physically, it's more exhausting because it's longer drives.
Mm-hmm.
You have to carry bigger gear. Like here, you can play with a 112 amp combo and no one says anything. But in the States, people want you to show up with like a full stack, even if it's a bar, and so I don't know. It's just logistically, it seems easier. Everyone seems to know everybody. I do miss playing shows with friends and other bands that I know and stuff in the States, but it's been great to make friends and make new friends and play with new bands and stuff over here too. So I mean, I could go on and on about the differences,
But we should probably talk
here
really more about the music side of things. I mean, as much as it's great to hear about the experiences, I like to know about that perhaps more than the listeners and what viewers do. But because it more relates to my own experiences, but still interested that there's quite a lot of sort of the kind of feedback drenched guitars stuff going off in quite a lot of you seem to enjoy, as I sometimes do, rather torturing the guitars. I rather enjoy that quite often in your tracks. So where did that come from? Did it happen by accident, or was that you were inspired by something?
I wouldn't ever have said that I'm a proper guitarist. And I know you didn't say that, but I've always, whenever I played in bands with another guitarist, I was always the weaker of the two. And at one point, there's a sort of a death rock band out of the States called Entertainment. And for their album Gender, I was their guitarist. And, what they sort of needed was very kind of Daniel Ash, sort of guitar parts, and stuff that was just sort of sounds. And I started looking more because before I was in that band, most of my influence for sound would have been, like the combination of Charles and Joe from the Pixies, the stuff they would do together. But I didn't really have the skill set that either of the two of them did. So I just heard bending notes and feedback, so I just kind of did that with no purpose. But then when I started playing with Entertainment and I was listening to more post-punk and goth guitarists, if you will, like Daniel Ash, there was more of treating the guitar as a noise-making device in general, not as because I think when people think of guitar and they play like a guitarist, they always want to play in blues riffs and and you fall into these conventions and shapes. But if you just consider your instrument as a noise making device, then you have no boundaries for what you can do with it. And I think I wound up getting some guidance with that from being in Entertainment, where I knew what they were trying to do, but the singer had sort of tracked take after take after take after take of all these guitar parts, but then just left them all in. So I had to kind of figure out how to play 4 or 5 guitars at once, and it just there was so much. I had to learn how to kind of get that across with aid, and I don't know. I think feedback is great. I like whale sounds, and I like the sounds of, wings flapping, and I like the percussive aspect of guitar, but I also like how you can get these strange notes where you're not really playing the guitar as you're sort of playing the room. You're playing like the sound of the room around you. It becomes very abstract, like painting or something. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question in a succinct way.
Well, I mean, it's just good enough to know about sort of your approach there anyway. I think we get some idea. Is there anything in particular about the bass playing that we should know?
Ooh.
Well, let me get on my soapbox.
No, I think for me, like, I started out as a guitar player in my youth. I think I was like 14 or 15 when I started playing guitar. And then when I went to college or this cover band, and that was where I converted over to bass playing. And I guess just in starting that venture, in that particular outfit, I would say that the bass was playing more of the like maybe lead guitar type parts, and then the rhythm and the guitar were doing more like percussive type elements that maybe a bass would do. So it was cool just to kind of have that like reversal moment. So yeah, I think that's where like some of my influence comes from. I also grew up listening to a lot of like 90s grunge music, which is important. Hair metal, Motley Crue is always a good time. So I think having that influence kind of hinge with the noise making or more of the fluidity that Chisholm has is.
I guess you kind of tend to form the sort of ground rock in a way to the songs in some forms. Hopefully we haven't lost you here. It's rather frozen on me at the minute.
You were saying that she sort of forms the ground of the sound or whatever, and I would agree with that. Like you kind of handle almost handle the chord, the inference of chord progression through the song. You're kind of handling rhythm guitar as well as bass.
Yeah.
Kind of, feel like the
And of course we shouldn't leave drums out of it.
Too, being a 3-piece. Oh yeah, he's back. Do you want to come in? You want to take spots? You. Okay. Let's get the rhythm section in.
Yeah. Rhythm section wanted.
I mean, for me, it's a bit like exactly. For me, because I'm the newest member, and I just started to play with them like a year ago, I guess. It's been more like kind of understanding what the vision was before, and like kind of getting the sounds and the style they want to go for. And now I think I got it, and I'm just putting my own vision on it as well. So because I come from like the jazz school, and then I went to like rock bands and stuff, so now getting more like, because they use more pads and SPDS, and there's an electronic side to it, made me develop that side on my playing as well. So it's getting my technique and experience with the acoustic kit plus this new SPDS electronic part of it, which makes it way more interesting in a way, because I'm not only writing in one piece now, I'm writing in two different things. So that's cool.
You're experiencing new things as well, and having to experiment with unusual or at least unfamiliar territory for you.
Yeah, and it's been great because it's like a challenge all the time, like Chisholm sees the things like the drum parts, because he used to write for marching bands.
Interesting.
So like he sees in different elements, so it's not like one person kind of doing. So it's like the rhythms and things he suggests, and like the ideas he has for the pads and stuff, kind of challenge my way to approach the instrument, because I need to figure it out how I'm going to play it all together, and make it my own as well. So it's a constant like change in both of us, because we kind of like getting closer and closer and closer, and with Natalie as well, like me and her playing together we just getting to that point now that everything is kind of in the same
I think
spot,
it's often said that like the drums and bass tend to kind of fuse together with bands. So
I love when people say
and we
that.
also finish each other's
sentences,
which is cool.
Sandwiches.
I was thinking we were going to say breakfast.
So there's obviously a burning question that is on everybody's lips, and that's, has Chisholm actually played the Star Wars board game yet?
Oh my
this
gosh.
is where you come
Yep. Come on, sit in. Do you want to take my spot?
I'm going to take this spot.
And there's a reason he's the lead singer, we can tell who's got the big ego in the band, can't we?
Which Star Wars board game is this?
You mentioned in an interview you bought one in during lockdown, and you hadn't even played it by the time of the interview.
Yeah. It was sort of a they remade and re-released this Battle of Hoth board game from like Empire Strikes Back, and it's terrible. It's so terrible, and it takes so long to finish it, and it's nearly impossible to beat or play. It has cool little game pieces.
I mean, that's all that really matters, as long as you get some cool little figures.
It's really cool to look at. I mean, the painting that they did is horribly inaccurate of things. Like, you could tell, like, they made it before the movie had come out. And I did finally play it, though, with some friends. We struggled through it. It was brutal. It was really brutal. I haven't played it since, but...
So that was an excellent purchase. So we need to wrap this up. So anything else you think you might like to add before we finish everything off?
Well, we have the obligatory, like, hey, we have a single out right now, and it's on Spotify and Apple Music and all the other giant companies that are going to pay us a fraction of a pence each time you play it. But that's not what's important. It's important that people hear it if they want to hear it. It's not about like what they're going to pay us or not pay us. So if people are interested, we have a new single out. We're doing a tour. You're part of this tour as well, as you know. And that starts Saturday and in New York. And then we've got a video with the single as well, and it's on YouTube. So that's the
check it out.
That's the big stuff. I can't think of.
There's like, people want more details, just go to our Instagrams and Facebooks.
Yeah, we're on all the socials.
Right.
At FeatherTrade.
At FeatherTrade, yeah.
I'm sure people will. You never know how people will be. It's remarkable how dim some can be, but I'm sure they must be able to find FeatherTrade if they search it. But you're very good for search engine optimization, and we haven't even covered why you were called that. But that can remain an exciting mystery. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. I have been enjoying your Just Like Film in particular, and
thanks.
Thank you.
And I think it's a very enjoyable drive. Something like that. Anyway, it's an experience I like. Shall we put it that way? I mean, it's not exactly sort of jolly happy times music, but it's really good. And I'm looking forward to seeing it in the live situation. So,
cool.
Thank you very much for joining me, and
Thanks for doing this. Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
I will see you on Saturday then. All being well, as long as we're not all long as we're not all snowed in anyway. Which you're doing this tour in the absolute worst possible weather. Anyway, bye for now.
is reckless abandon. Paris, London, and Berlin. You can travel for miles and still be at home. Yeah, my love is a slum I'm condemned to as I crumble beneath the masonry, holding on to what once was dear. Is it just nostalgia? Is it much the same? The same places with the same pain. Now gentrify my heart. 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 You're inhabiting memories which don't exist. What once was character, only narcissists. Bland and tasteless, everything's the same. Glass and strip lights in whitewashed paint. So gentrify my heart. Gentrify my heart. Now gentrify my heart. I'm asking please gentrify my heart.
Want to play for you DIEHEXEN with Siamese because I think it's really rather fabulous. So let's pop that on, and it will be the last track for tonight.